Yeah. What did the tape show yesterday?
In the Oregon game, they were very committed offensively to running their stuff. They were patient. Uh, they're a team that gets up and down a lot, but in this particular game, there were numerous possessions where they ran the shot clock down under 10 and took shots. So they were very deliberate. So they did a good job that way. We took better care of the basketball for the most part. They pressured us and did a good job at that. We missed 39 shots. 15 of them were either wide open shots or 3 or 4 footers around the rim that maybe we could have made. And I didn't count some of those that were close to the basket but were really tough shots. I didn't count those. I talked the ones that were definitely makeable shots and just couldn't knock the ball down.
I was going to say, I asked post game, but that it sounds like it kind of confirms your assessment that the high post is getting you the shots that you're looking for.
Well, it's our offensive package in general. See, we don't run the high post every time down the floor. And like when we ran motion, we didn't run motion every time down the floor. But our offensive package is, we're getting shots. We're getting good looks at the basket.
I think it was Abdullah said our guys are having trouble, Suggs and CJ having trouble getting loose. And I don't know how you fix that, but if you're saying they're getting shots, then knock them down. Maybe they are getting loose.
I go back and say, you look at us, Alan Crabb is the top scorer in our league, just went for 31 against Arizona. We know how hard it was to score against Arizona with Nick Johnson when we played him. He had 9 on us. That particular game, we did a decent job on him. He didn't get a whole lot of looks. There are just going to be some games where teams guard you, do a good job. And if you look at the big picture, though, I would tell you that we end up getting pretty good shots.
So your prime concern now is what? Mentally handling what's become consistent losing, or specifically X's and O's, offense or defense stuff?
I would say, we have to, this is hard to do if you lose 7 out of 8, but we've got to go out and play with confidence on both sides. Defensively, we have to play with confidence, and offensively, we definitely need to go out and play with confidence and shoot the ball as if we've made our last 10 in a row. I think that's a big part of it right there. If we are, and we've taken care of the ball better in the last 2 games, if we're doing that and we guard and we play offensively with confidence, I think things are in place for us to do fine. They're in place. We're not perfect, but philosophically what we're trying to do is in place. We just have to execute.
And so we've kind of discussed that point a few times. And I think I probably asked you a few times, how do you make that final push over to get the complete game that we were talking about prior to Oregon, and to have all those things that are in place come together?
Well, you have to continue to concentrate on doing the right thing. What you can do sometimes is, we're not winning, and you can get away from your basic core foundation of what you're trying to do. Now you have no way to return back. We have to make sure that we're executing our foundational things defensively, offensively. Excuse me. We played Oregon State last time. There was some things defensively that after the game, when we watched the film, our guys just kind of put their head down because we knew we hadn't executed the foundational things. Let's get those right first. And if we do those, we continue to point those out. You ask, well, how do you get it? We're continuing to point those out so that we can get better at those and our guys can see them. Mostly things that you fix, that you're able to fix if you realize this is a problem. You do that, then we have to have a little success. Ball has to go in the basket a few times. Sometimes throughout the course of a game, you miss a shot, you miss a layup, you miss a couple free throws. Subconsciously, that kind of wears you down a little bit. Now you're not guarding on the defensive end. And we've talked from day one about what our identity needs to be. When we were 4-0, it was very clear what our identity was, defense and rebounding, and we kind of got away from that a little bit.
So in the balance of the streak, how much of it is about you guys and how much of it is about the scout?
Oh, I would say probably 70% us, 30% scout. In terms of defending the opposition,
Yeah.
probably 70, maybe even 75 us. You know, if you're out executing your defensive principles, hopefully it doesn't matter what a team runs, you're prepared for it. And I believe our team is prepared to guard just about whatever we face, even if we didn't know what they were running. But then there are certain things you're going to emphasize to try to take away from teams, and you alter your principles a little bit. So maybe we're forcing one way normally with our principles, but that's this one guy's strength. So we're going to adjust our principles, send them the other way. It's little things like that we'll do. We guard ball screens a certain way, but in the scout, the way we're guarding them, this guy's going to have a field day. So we adjust in the scout there. So that's why I say maybe 25% is the scout, 75% our principles, us.
What's Oregon State? Is it Starks? Is it the big guy in the middle? I can't remember his name.
Joe Burton?
Joe Burton. Is it? Where does it start for them?
I believe it. It's interesting because Collier and Moreland are great talents. They're long, they're athletic, they disrupt you. Both ends of the floor, they rebound. Starks, if he gets it going, he can single-handedly keep them in a game. But you know, Burton, they run their offense through Burton. And he's kind of fun to watch if you're a fan watching, not if you're playing against him. But he's kind of fun to watch because he's a really good passer. We were just looking. He has 47 assists and 27 turnovers in league play. And that's for a 6'8", 6'9" guy handling the ball a lot. So a lot goes through him.
His story is really interesting. How he learned to play basketball, and where he learned, and how I guess that's how he became the kind of versatile guy he is at his size.
Yeah, he's talented in his own way.
Is some of the hard part about Oregon State the fact that they are liable to kind of go unorthodox on you at times, whether it's their Princeton offense or whether it's the trapping stuff that they like to do sometimes?
For us, it's just been more of their length. You know, we go, our tallest perimeter guy is 6'6", and when they go in there and they're 6'9", at the perimeter spot, 6'8", 6'9", and not a lean 6'9" that's not athletic, but a quick, aggressive, athletic 6'9". Sometimes that's given us problems. Just their length, I would say, more than anything.
In the game down there, how did that one get away so quickly?
That was during the 2-game stretch, and it hadn't happened again until the other night at SC, where we just came out extremely flat. The Utah game and then the Oregon State game followed it, and you know, I go back and look at the film and just go right away, whoa, we're playing in slow motion. You know, offensively and defensively. We weren't cutting hard, we weren't pushing the ball in the beginning. Now we went zone and came back, cut it down to 1 or 2, but that's what stands out in my mind. We just came out and were just very, very flat.
And even if you want your identity to be defense and rebounding, to score 52 points at home, is that a winning formula?
Again, no. You have to, but again, you got to make shots. You got to make shots. So it's never a winning formula not to make shots, you know. So you defend, you rebound, like we did in our first 4 games. We didn't make shots then either, but we guarded. We held all those teams under 40%. Arizona State shoots 64% against us, but we were 21 of 22 from the line. We were hitting threes. We were scoring that night, so you can survive that. You have to approach every game like defense is going to win it for you. You have to do that, not only to keep them from scoring, but it helps our offense, as we've talked many times before. If we're out there doing what we're supposed to do defensively, we're going to score more points. Now, Oregon shot 56%. So we hold them under 40%, maybe we win that game too. The ball's not going in the basket. Sometimes it's just a lack of concentration. Sometimes you can't control it, but you can control how you defend.
And then after looking at the tape, at least live, it looked as if Wilcox got some good looking shots. After looking at it, did you think anything different?
No, he has some really good looks.
Has he been able to practice?
Sparingly, like today before the game, he'll practice a little bit.
And so with that, and his whole foot deal, not being able to practice all the time, and you're a shooter, can that throw your timing off?
No doubt. There's no doubt. I've heard it mentioned that, man, that foot must be bothering him. Well, indirectly, maybe that's an issue because he doesn't get the reps in practice. CJ's, again, talk about CJ's foot because I keep hearing all these different, reasons. The reason he doesn't practice as much is so this small little discomfort that he has doesn't get worse. That's all. He does not have a stress fracture. So he's still, if he were to go all out and practice and go hard, then the potential of him actually having a stress fracture goes up. Doesn't even mean he'd get one, but it goes up. So we're staying on the side of caution and not letting him practice as much so that it doesn't get to that point. But he goes out, he's not going to go out there and he's sore like, man, my foot's really bothering me. No, it's not like that.
So like this latest streak of games for him, you would categorize it as a what? Is it a downturn? Do you use the word slump? Do you use just how do you do that?
Oh, ball's not going in for him. We played 6 games overseas. I think I mentioned this. He was in an unbelievable slump then. This summer, he went 4 games maybe where he just could not get the ball to go in. I mean, it became, after the fact, we played our last game, we were joking on the way back. When we finally got back, I said, I just want to see you take one shot. Now that you're back in the States, I just want to see it go in. He hit like 15 in a row, when he got back. So we were joking about it, but to just give you an idea, sometimes shooters go through slumps, the best of them. Sometimes they go through periods where the ball is not going in for them.
But maybe the one over the summer you can, sort of explain away by different gyms, different ball, different, different set of rules.
Right.
But he's in his home gym.
Yeah, I would say 2 factors. One is not being able to practice and get as many reps. It's one thing to shoot 100, 200 shots by yourself, but coming off screens with guys jumping at you, that's something you can't, it's more difficult to simulate. But then the other thing is, as I mentioned before, 6 steals against USC, 7 assists against UCLA, guarding every night. He's doing more. Now, this is without practicing a whole lot. He's doing all this. I think underneath the surface, everyone's focusing on he's not making baskets as much. Underneath the surface, he's becoming a heck of an all-around player. And I think when you go through a period where you're doing all those things together, sometimes your offense suffers a little bit. It really does, until you get accustomed to playing that all-around game, and here comes your offense. So, my opinion, that's a theory of mine. That has something to do with it, and the other side is just not getting enough reps in practice.
With teams who play Washington, it seems as if they're saying, we're going to focus on CJ, and anything else that happens, we can live with that.
Yeah, it's no different than what we do with teams. I think everybody goes out and decides who they're going to try to shut down and focus on. Again, I bring up Alan Crabb. He scores 13 or 15 in the first half last night, and maybe 1 point in the second half. So it happens, and when that happens, others have the opportunity to step up. Like when we played Arizona State, I think Andrew stepped up, had 20. Sean Kemp stepped up, had 18.
You mentioned last night, though, just some crazy results. It seems like in the conference. We thought last year was kind of wacky.
Yeah.
This year seems like it's kind of going down the same path.
The conference has better teams this year, and I don't think there's a huge gap between the teams. I don't see one team up here and then the bottom team is so far behind them. just don't see that. And I think that's why earlier in the year, I don't know what it is now, but teams were shooting, I think 57% of the home games were won. 43% they were losing at home. I think all that has to do with how evenly matched the league is this year.
So but you don't expect in the final result when the bids are tallied and the guys are trying to figure out if they're going to go to the tournament or not, you don't think they're going to get punished like they were last year?
I think we have more quality wins. I think we have more quality wins as programs. I think we have more quality wins as a league. We didn't have a Florida, Miami win last year in this league like we have this year. Within, we have some teams that are ranked higher this year. Therefore, some other teams within conference have some quality wins. We didn't have those last year.
But I hate to be the sort of naysayer with all this, but parity can't be good. Right? I mean, there's a SC team that's not even 500, and they're 2 games out of first place.
Yeah. Coaching change, they've hit a stride. I mean, Cal's hit a stride. I don't know if the committee looks at those things. Something has to be said for teams starting to play better and play together at the right time, peak at the right time. Something has to be said for that.
Is that kind of what you're hoping for starting tomorrow?
Yeah, that would be good. That would be good. We said that Oregon, but I have been pleased with our guys' attitudes. Guys can go south when you lose 7 out of 8. I don't think our guys have gone south at all.
You have to kind of preach a kind of a cornerback mentality in terms of like next play, next game.
I think what we've been talking about more of, don't think for 1 minute that this is over. Don't think for 1 minute. And if you're doubting, we could struggle. But look at our games, as I mentioned before, maybe one time, I think Colorado State, they got away from us, we were blown out, but we haven't blown anyone out except Loyola, Maryland, and no one's blown us out. It's that close. We're that close in every game. We get down, we come back, so we can't go south and start to go mentally our separate ways, and I think that's what we've talked about more than anything.
If you look solely at the record recently, it would suggest that Washington is not getting better. Your teams historically have just been known for second half of the season. They just get better, 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 better. Is this team, do you think they're getting better?
I would have to agree. I don't see that we've made big strides here. All I can say is in the past, there came a point when it didn't look like we were getting better, and then we won that game. Then we won the next game. Then we won the next game. But before that first win, boy, you look like you guys are going downhill. Wait till next year, that type of talking. Usually, that started before we had 6 games left now. I understand that. But still, I'm just waiting. And I mentioned before, I thought that was the Arizona State game. But even with the Arizona State game, we didn't guard like we should have. Now, Jahi Carson put on an unbelievable performance, hit some tough shots, but I'm still banking on us coming out, getting back to our foundation, and coming out having that good game. Just waiting for it.
And you're always judged on your past, and another part of your past has always been there's that senior who gets that big senior year, whether it's Justin Holiday or Quincy or whoever. You've got 3 seniors now. Have you seen it from those guys?
I think Aziz Njai has had a really good year. He might be the defensive player of the year in the conference. He's really close to averaging a double-double. How many of those guys are around the country that are averaging a double-double? So I think Aziz has had a heck of a year.
I want to throw a question out there for you. Can you talk about Nigel Williams-Goss making Donald?
Nigel, it's something that's really, I'm excited for him. He has worked. I mean, so many times he's been in the gym and put his time in, working on his shooting, working on becoming a 2 guard. I mean, from becoming a 2 guard to now he's a point guard. You know, that took a lot of work, and he's gone through a lot to get to this point, and this was definitely not a political choice. This was something he earned. He earned it. He's been there. I think he's a first or second leading scorer in the history of that program, and they've had some really good players come through there. Maybe led his #1 assist guy. He has played in every big stage imaginable in his last 4 years against big-time talent. He's done quite a bit. He's accomplished a lot. And for him now to be named to not only the McDonald's game, but also to the Jordan Brand game is a special honor for him.
Have you ever had a player that's gone to both games? I
Yes.
can't remember.
Abdul did. Martell Webster signed with us. He did, but he ended up not coming. I can't remember if John did or not. I know John was McDonald's, and Spencer. I have to check on this. But those are the guys that were McDonald's guys.
And you talk about Nigel with his just everything he's done and at Finley. A lot of people might think, okay, has he reached his ceiling? I mean, is he doing the maximum that he can possibly do? What's his ceiling going forward?
You're talking about a kid that is very, very cerebral. High basketball IQ. High level of toughness. Really tough kid. Goes out and guards the point guard, shuts a point guard down, but can also shut down a wing player. You know, he's done that in the past. Whenever someone is going off, they put him on it. He usually does a pretty good job. So I still think he has room to grow, but let's just say that's him. That's pretty good. What he brings to the table, his intangibles, can't help but elevate your team and your program.